WWF Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 Sable. News of Sable's involvement in Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 hit the internet shortly before the figure was unveiled at Toy Fair in February 1998. In the April 98 issue of Lee's Action Figure News and Toy Review magazine, Sable was shown holding the hand-painted prototype from the Toy Fair, giving us a glimpse of the figure. James Hakola, aka Mr. Dandy, and Terry Latimer were responsible for the sculpt of this figure. It's believed that Mr. Latimer sculpted the head and Mr. Dandy everything else. These images are from Mr. Dandy's previous website that showed off his portfolio. The figure was initially expected to hit shelves in May or June of 1998, but collectors didn't start seeing it in stores until mid to late August 98. Ringside Collectibles got their shipment in stock by July 4th. Upon initial release of Ripped and Ruthless Series 2, Kane and Sable were said to be the hot sellers of the set. Kane's big selling feature with this figure was the mask was removable, so the mystery could be solved as to what Kane looked like. Or could it? They actually just repainted the Undertaker's head from Ripped and Ruthless Series 1. Talk about disappointment. The series was priced anywhere between $9.99 and $12.99 each, with Toys R Us having a claim to the best price. If you adjust the price due to inflation today, Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 Sable would cost between $17.72 and $23.04 today. So what makes this figure one of the most unique women's wrestling figures ever? Let's find out in today's unboxing and review. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get into today's really exciting unboxing of Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 Sable, I want to once again give a huge shout out to VintageJakksBCA. Make sure to check him out on Instagram and Twitter. So I reached out to him and let him know what I was going to review today, and he had so much knowledge, so much info, and sent it my way. So I want to give full credit to him for all the information he gave me. Super amazing person, super knowledgeable, so make sure you check him out. Now with that being said, let's take a closer look at truly one of the most unique women's wrestling figures to ever be made. Alright, so here it is, Sable from Ripped and Ruthless Series 2. So we're going to start off here looking at the packaging, because this is a very, very, very unique packaging. I mean, it is huge, and the figure is more of a statue type figure, which we'll see when we open it up. But yeah, this box is definitely a space taker, you know what I'm saying? It would have been crazy back in the day to see these on the shelves because this box is massive. But I am going to say it's a lot lighter than I expected. I thought it'd be a lot more heftier or bulky, but yeah. So this package is definitely cool. We have that Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 on the front, that WWF scratch logo we all learned to love. And then we have a little open window on top, which is definitely cool. You can see down in the box. And then we have this nice open window on the front that kind of extends to the angled sides here. Now this does claim it's a fully articulated figure, so we will see. And then moving it on the back, sometimes the funnest part of these videos here is we can see the rest of the Series 2. We have that Kane I talked about in the intro there with the removable mask. We have Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And then moving on down here, we got Slammers too. I did have that Dude Love Slammer back in the day. He was definitely in my Fig Fed when I was a kid. So that's kind of what was going around at this time in 1998. And yeah, there's an official Jakks Collectors Club. So let's apply for that and see if it's still going. Okay, or not. Let's not do that. Now let me cut the tape off the top here. Let me kind of move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, this box is very hard to fit in frame, but you know what? We make the best of it. Hoop. Okay. And like I said, I'm not keeping any of these Sable figures MOC, so to speak, because I really do want to get a nostalgic look at them and show y'all kind of what they look like up close. Okay, so I did a really bad job there. Alright, so now that the top's off, we're going to take that little bubble comes off, and then let's see if it slides out, maybe? Maybe not. I might have to just destroy this box, y'all. You think it'd slide out. Hold on. Okay, so we have this little backdrop here I don't think I was supposed to take it out like that, but yeah, it's got a little spray paint Sable deal on there. And then the figure itself, whoop, here it is. So let's get this backdrop out of the way so we can really get a clear look at the figure. I'm going to turn on my little light. Okay. So it comes with these little plastic, like, protected pieces, I guess, around the legs. So let's go ahead and take that off. And I have no experience with these Ripped and Ruthless figures, so I'm really curious as to what it is, you know, like, once we get a closer look. And then the display base is in this piece of plastic here, so we slide that out. Now, this is cool. So this is definitely something that I'm going to have to display somewhere in LumberJillville because it does look good displayed. And amongst all the Sable's figures, this is a good representation of her because it's a pretty badass figure, honestly. A lot of her figures, not so much, but this one is excellent. Excellently sculpted. Now, side note, James Hakola, Mr. Dandy, I've been in talks with him on the side. I'm hoping to do an interview with him here where he kind of talks about the process of sculpting the Sable figure amongst many other figures he sculpted, so I'm really excited for that. So stay tuned for that this summer. But okay, on to the figure. So the figure is articulated, it looks like, but let's look at the base first. So we have this brick wall, which is like a plastic there. And then we have this base that the figure is on. Now, it looks like from the bottom that the figure is screwed into the base. Yeah, so I don't think the figure comes off the base. I don't want to pull too much. I don't want to break it. So I actually like that because I'm not going to play with this figure. And I want it to display. And I have a feeling if it wasn't screwed in, it would fall over all the time. And that drives me nuts. So this is a solid, solid, solid display piece for your collection. Now let's take a closer look at this figure and let's go with that face first here. So the face, I mean, it's okay for the time. So the time period, Sable kind of had some crazy looking sculpts for the most part. A lot of yelling and screaming and whatnot. But this one's a lot more subtle and it's not terrible. I mean, does it resemble Sable? Maybe a little bit. I mean, they did a good job with her lipstick. She has like two-tone lipstick on there, which looks cool. And with the hair, so I'm not a huge fan of the shape of the hair. But what's really cool is kind of the blonde, the sandy blonde color that they went with. And it's one of those things I talk about all the time with women's wrestling figures of today that I wish they would put more effort into the hair coloration and details with the roots, the streaks, and everything to make the hair look more realistic. And here, I mean, it looks pretty realistic, right? It's also like a soft rubber color, and obviously it's kind of off in the side as an action pose. So I'm okay with that head and the hair. I think that's pretty cool. Now, the figure itself. So this is pretty awesome, honestly. The sculpting here is excellent by Mr. Dandy there. And we have the body sculpted. Obviously, certain things very Sable-like at the time. We'll just say that. But the attire on top of that is sculpted on, which is definitely nice. We didn't see that a whole lot with women's wrestling figures at the time. All the way down to these little platform heel boots, which actually have a little texture molded on to make them look like they are like a material, which is really cool. Now, as far as articulation goes, let's check that out. So the head can look right, look left. Can't look up or down too well. The arms, okay, so you have a little sagittal plane movement there in the shoulder. It's not on a ball joint, but can go up and down on both sides. Ooh, that one's... Okay, and there's an action feature. I didn't know that. So this is like a spring-loaded action feature on her right arm to where she can... She's whipping. She's whipping. She's whipping. Whoopsh. And yes, she does come with a whip. And I think it's molded into her... See, I'm going to give a little bit of resistance here. Okay, no, it's not supposed to do that. So it's supposed to stay in her hand. Let's pretend I never did that. Okay. But yeah, the elbows do bend about 90 degrees. So, yeah, that's cool. I did not expect the little action feature. I don't know if that's really advertised on the box, to be honest with you, but I think that's awesome. I love that. That's satisfying. That's cool. So she has movement at the hips, which is interesting because if the feet don't come off, then I don't know why she has rotation on the hips. Can't get a whole lot of movement there. And then her knees can bend. So this is a pretty good articulated figure. Now that I see all the articulation in that action feature, I kind of do wish it could come off here. And I'm actually wondering, you know what? Timeout. All right, time in. So I loosened the screws on the bottom here with the little screwdriver, and guess what? You take it off, and it's a articulated action figure, y'all. I mean, that's pretty freaking awesome, actually. I know that some people might not like having the screws in the little holes on the bottom of the foot, but I think it's fine because it does keep it nice and firm when it's on display. And I just had to loosen them a little bit, and now we have a fully articulated Sable figure out here. Now it is a little limited for the time, but still, I mean, that's pretty tremendous. I didn't know you could take it off the stand, and of course it's going to take a little working to get her to pose in certain positions and whatnot and get her to stand, but you got to realize this is a 22 plus year old figure, so the joints haven't held up as well as they might in some other figures. So that's pretty neat. I honestly didn't expect it to be able to come off of the base like that, but I am going to screw it back on the base. But I just wanted to show y'all that, yeah, we can take it off. And when we take it off, now we can move her hips and we can move her knees. And yeah, that's actually pretty neat. So there it is there. And here's one last look at WWF Ripped and Ruthless Series 2 by Jakks, Sable. Alright, so this figure is freaking cool, in my opinion. It has to be one of, if not the most unique women's wrestling figure I have here in LumberJillville. I mean, it's pretty freaking awesome, and there's definitely a lot of attention to detail that went into this figure that the women's figures didn't necessarily get at the time. Now, the man that was behind sculpting this figure, like I mentioned before in the video, I am working to get an interview or some type of video I can put up on the YouTube channel where I kind of pick his brain and learn about what he did and kind of the process behind the sculpt and then some other women's wrestling sculpts that he did. So look for that this summer sometime. I am really excited for that, so hopefully we can make it work. But either way, this figure is super cool. And I think it's super awesome that it can double as a displayed statue. Then you take out some screws, and it's a posable action figure. I didn't realize that you could do that with this figure, so I love it. I think it's neat. It's definitely earned a spot to be displayed in LumberJillville here in my background. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's unboxing, kind of a throwback, a jump back in time, and a little history lesson on this figure. Now, with that being said, thank you for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures and future Summer of Sable videos, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use code LJV to save 10%. I hope y'all have a great night.